Agent Orange diseases and symptoms breakdown. Let's get into it. Agent Orange exposure is associated with a variety of health problems. These presumptive diseases of Agent Orange exposures can range from the inconvenient to debilitating, and even they're usually life-threatening. If you're a Vietnam War veteran and you otherwise experience Agent Orange exposure and you're experiencing any of these Agent Orange exposure symptoms, you may be eligible for VA healthcare, VA disability benefits, Agent Orange presumptive benefits, and presumptive conditions. The VA has classified these Agent Orange related diseases as presumptive. If you served in the military in Vietnam or on the Korean DMZ between specific dates of the Vietnam era, or you are otherwise known to have been exposed to the defoliant during your military service and you are diagnosed with certain health problems, the VA will presume that your condition has service connection due to exposure to the Agent Orange contaminant. This makes it much easier to qualify for both VA healthcare and disability compensation. If you're an eligible veteran, you don't have to prove that Agent Orange caused your condition or made it worse. You just have to state that your VA claim and presumptive service connection should be extended to your veteran's disability claim. Here we have a little chart here. January 9th, 1962 through May 7th, 1975. That's if you're a Vietnam veteran. If you're in the DMZ or near the Korean DMZ, that would be September 1st, 1967 through August 31st, 1971. Smaller time gap on that one. Or you have service aboard a U.S. military vessel entering inland waters of Vietnam. That would be the brown waters. Or service aboard a vessel near waters of Vietnam and Cambodia. It's just funny that they're admitting that we're in Cambodia. Or you have herbicide exposure during service in the U.S. Armed Forces. Or your C-123 crew, maintenance airmen through 1969 and 1986. So these dates are all over the board, and you have to fit into one of these boxes. So that's why the boxes are on the screen. Eligibility for Agent Orange benefits. To qualify for presumptive VA benefits for Agent Orange exposure, you must be able to show the following: a medical record of having been diagnosed with an Agent Orange related illness or condition, and any of the following. So this doesn't mean that you need to have this while you're on service, because in 1967, you certainly weren't complaining about anything. So in a medical record, that means to be any medical record. And if you need to go get one yesterday, so you could have it in a military record today, that works. So here's the following: service in Vietnam for any length of time between January 9, 1962 and May 7th, 1975. Or. Big difference. Or just something to be aware of. Service in or near the Korean Demilitarized Zone, the DMZ, for any length of time between September 1st, 1967 and August 31st, 1971. Or service aboard a U.S. military vessel that entered the inland waterways of Vietnam. Brown water veterans. Or Public Law 116-23, the Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act of 2019. That's when they finally recognized Blue Water Navy veterans, 12 miles off the coast. Anything in, they call it brown water veterans. I wasn't there, just assuming that the water was brown, shitty, and all that stuff. And blue water, I don't know how blue it was 12 miles off, but we'll go with it. Or you are exposed to herbicides in a location other than Vietnam or the DMZ. So another location, right? Such as loading, transporting, or storing them while serving on active duty military. Certain veterans who operated from Royal Thai Air Force bases, RTAF is the acronym, near U Tapo, Ubon, Nakhon Phanom, Udorn, Takili, Karat, and Don Muang. near the air base perimeter anytime between February 28th, 1961 and May 7th, 1975 may qualify. Let me know how I did on the pronunciation. And this is a good place to step back as we're going through Agent Orange exposure stuff. It all comes down to strategy, right? What's your current rating in the big scheme of things? What is your current rating using the combined ratings table? Is the presumptive claim you're about to file because you now qualify because your condition got worse or whatever the situation is that going to move the needle on your claim? Is it worth filing a claim for? I talk strategy in my bootcamp. Check it out at combatcraig.com. Links in the description. What is Agent Orange? It's the name of a blend of herbicides. I like the way they say that, a blend. Like you're blending, you know what I mean. It's a blend of herbicides that the U.S. military sprayed in the Republic of Vietnam and surrounding areas during the Vietnam War. It is the combination of two herbicides, the chlorinated phenoxy acids of 2,4-D, which I use as weed killer in my yard still, and 2,4,5-T. During the Vietnam War, U.S. forces sprayed Agent Orange and other powerful defoliants over large swaths of the Vietnamese landscape. The U.S. military used over 20 million gallons of Agent Orange and other herbicides in Vietnam in order to strip the Viet Cong and the NVA, North Vietnamese Army, of cover and concealment. And to kill off crops, they depend on to feed their fighters. So they're killing the food and killing the cover and concealment. Agent Orange is known to have contaminated large amounts of 2378, aka TCDD. Tango Charlie Delta Delta is the most dangerous of these compounds. This compound is extremely persistent. It doesn't wash away readily with rain, but stays in the environment for years, building up in the soil and in the sediment and accumulating in the food chain. Dioxins are fat soluble. What are the health effects of Agent Orange exposure? There's no single set of symptoms diagnosed as Agent Orange exposure. Rather, physicians look for specific medical conditions that are correlated with exposure to Agent Orange and other herbicides and dioxins. If your service dates and duty stations qualify, these are medical conditions that qualify for presumptive status. Here are 14 health conditions associated with Agent Orange exposure as of 2022. Chronic B-cell leukemia, Hodgkin's disease, multiple myeloma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, prostate cancer, respiratory cancers, soft tissue sarcomas, ischemic heart disease, Clarknane, another one that's porphyria cutana tarda. Sorry, I'm not a doctor. Peripheral neuropathy, type 2 diabetes, AL amyloidosis. So those are the conditions, and there's a lot of things that qualify as Agent Orange exposure. It's important to note that Agent Orange itself, it's not a diagnosis. It falls under the presumptive categories bucket, but you need to have one of these 14 conditions. You need to have a diagnosis, symptoms, and then the presumptive nature is the nexus. You might as well have your doctor write the nexus while he's at it, right? Got the diagnosis, reporting your symptoms. He needs to do it on a at least as likely as not basis. Veteran Combat Craig was exposed to Agent Orange and Tango Charlie Delta Delta TCDD, the most dangerous of these compounds. In my medical opinion, along with my diagnosis and reporting of symptoms, this is a result of his active duty service and his exposure to dioxins and Agent Orange stuff. If you need to appeal your VA claim, check out Hill and Ponton at hillandponton.com. See if they can help you out. Also, if you're at Camp Lejeune between 53 and 87, you may be eligible for additional benefits. Links for both of those are in the description. Don't forget to sign up for my boot camp if you want to learn more about my process, which is the VA claims process. You're going to need medical evidence to win your VA claim. If you're missing a diagnosis, severity of your symptoms, or a nexus, and your doctor won't do it for you, send an email to Second Strata and see if they can help you with your missing medical evidence.